Safety, stability, and security are the three words that truly encompass Taurus energy. And with this Taurus new moon, which is here to bring in a new beginning, a new cycle, a new pattern, there is a lot of energy surrounding this core foundation that we are operating from. We're going to go into the Western astrology analysis and then Chinese astrology in my signature style, which is simple and easy to understand, as well as practical and applicable to your life. We will start with Western astrology, but just know that depending on your time zone, your Chinese astrology is going to be a little bit different, although both of the days that the new moon spans over are still very similar, and we'll talk about that a bit later. Let's start with Western astrology and talk about what are the personal placements that will be affected. So if you have your sun, moon, or rising in the fixed signs, these are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, then this new moon will be personally affecting you. If you have your rising sign in Gemini or Virgo, this will also be affected by this new moon. And if you have any inner planets within 22 to 28 degrees in Taurus, this is your sun, moon, rising, obviously, but also Mercury, Venus, and Mars. So if you have any of those planets within that degree range, then that will be directly affected by this new moon because the new moon is going to be landing on top of those planets. So in addition to the analysis that we're going to go into, you can also take a look at what are the areas that those planets represent that you are feeling this energy being directed towards. So firstly, starting off with safety, stability, and security, Taurus energy is all about the foundations of who we are. It is all about what we have, what we own, and this includes money. Taurus energy also connects us to our core values, our core foundations, because those values and those foundations are the basis upon which we are then embodied in who we are. And we make our decisions and we move through life all according to the values that we hold. Now, with Taurus energy, one thing that they can fall into is becoming stuck. It is one of the fixed signs, and like we talked about 2 weeks ago with the Scorpio full moon, the fixed signs can sometimes stay stuck in relationships or careers or situations that they know are not the best for them, but because it's what they've known for so long and it's what feels safe, even though it's not the healthiest for them, they can tend to just hold on until change literally forces them to change things up. So Taurus can get stuck really easily and hold on to something purely out of safety. Again, even though it might not be the healthiest thing for them. So with this new moon, this is the start of a new pattern here. And this is a new moon where you need to be redefining what stability and safety means for you. Especially because we have just experienced 7 or 8 years of Uranus moving through the sign of Taurus. So this new moon is quite special because it is the first Taurus new moon that we have had since Uranus entered Gemini and left Taurus behind. Although Uranus is still sitting next to this new moon, so it still has a little bit of influence. But you need to be thinking about over the past 7 or 8 years, as Uranus has moved through our foundations and really destabilized them, how are you going to set your foundations now? How has your sense of stability and security changed over the past 7 to 8 years? Also, because Taurus is all about the simple things in life, what needs to be simplified? What needs to become clearer for you? And one of the biggest shifts that I think that we can all agree on is that we have been moving away from pure material stability. Instead of thinking about stability as just like, I need to have enough money or I need to have more money, we have gone through a change in the last 7 or 8 years where we have also started seeking stability in our emotional and spiritual and mental foundations. So we need to take that into account as well. This is the first new moon, or Taurus new moon, I should say, since we've had Uranus not affecting this sign. And so we're starting to get clearer on, well, how have my foundations actually changed? How do I want them to be from here on out? Now you want to look at the house that 25 degrees in Taurus is in on your chart to see what area of life this new moon is asking you to solidify and stabilize in a way that is actually aligned with your core values. For example, mine is in my 4th house, and so my focus is going to be on family and home. What has felt unstable for me here? What has been destabilized over the past 7 or 8 years? And what can I do to feel more safe? If you didn't know, I write insights for all 12 houses for each new and full moon. All you have to do is grab my 2026 Astrology e-calendar, which is linked below, and sync that into your Google Calendar, and you will get all of the insights for every new and full moon throughout the year. Now let's talk about the planetary influences on this new moon. Firstly, we have Mercury and Uranus sitting right next to this new moon. Mercury is the planet of communication, and Uranus is the planet of the unexpected. So very simply, you might have unexpected insights coming through, especially ones that are sparked by conversations that you are having with others, or any kind of information or media that you are consuming. Now with Mercury and Uranus, this energy is very cerebral and it's also very fast, which is kind of at odds with the stable and slow Taurus energy. So if we pair this with the Taurus new moon energy, this is telling us that there needs to be some form of fluidity that gives movement and freedom to Taurus. Meaning your definition of safety and stability and security is allowed to change, as can the way that you seek out stability. So you can keep redefining what that means for you. You don't have to just figure it all out, have an 100% picture in your mind that like, this is exactly what I need to be stable and it cannot change. Because what that's gonna do is you're gonna get into that unhealthy pattern where you feel stuck. So this is telling you that yes, we need to figure out what is not stable in our life right now, and we need to stabilize that, we need to simplify that, but at the same time, we have to allow room for development and adjustment and change to come in as well. Now with this energy, like I said, it's very cerebral as well. So this is a time where you might be having insights that you've never had before, where you're like, hang on a second, I didn't really think about it that way. So there's a lot of thinking out of the box right now. With Mercury being in the mix too, you might find it a bit easier to also express your needs. Some things that you might have felt ashamed of or embarrassed about when it comes to feeling safe, this is a good time for you to speak them and to express them. So again, all of this energy is letting us know that we need to be redefining safety and we need to be figuring out what makes us truly feel safe, but at the same time, we need that fluidity. We cannot lock ourselves in. Now, 2 weeks ago, during the Scorpio full moon, we had that full moon squaring Pluto, which was a harsh, challenging aspect. This time, Pluto is in a trine with this new moon, which is bringing a lot more of harmonious energy into the mix. So this is all about where your power is coming from. You want to reflect on, are my foundations built on a strong sense of self and self-empowerment, or have they been reliant on someone else telling me who I should be and what I should do and what I should need to feel safe in my life or to have enough in my life? Because Pluto is about our own sense of power that we need to find in reaction or in response to the ways that we have been controlled by others. So that's both sides of that Plutonian coin there. Now with Pluto being in a trine, it also gives us the strength and power we need to change something that has been solid for so long but is no longer aligned, and we might have had a little bit of trouble with really changing the pattern. We might have had a bit of trouble with letting go of a certain thing. We might have been scared to step into the unknown, into what's next, into what's new. And so what Pluto gives us is that extra power boost that we need to really fortify our internal foundation, our internal sense of self, so that we can take that step forward. Now, Chiron is active in this new moon too, and it has been active for the past month. So we have had a long string of Chiron influence in our lunations. This time round, we have Mars sitting right next to Chiron in Aries. So we've got these Chironic themes continuing. And Chiron always relates to wounds that we have around rejection and abandonment. And this Mars and Chiron conjunction is actually really important because in a couple of months, Chiron is going to move into Taurus, and that is going to herald a big change. And so Mars, being the planet that rules Aries, is sitting next to Chiron in Chiron's last degrees traveling through Aries. So this is a big moment. This conjunction is going to bring up a lot of wounds around self-esteem, areas where you don't really believe in your ability to do something or to make something happen, because Mars is our planet of motivation and action and movement. So with this new moon being in the sign of stability, essentially this is saying, where have you doubted yourself and doubted the things that you can do because something within is not quite stable yet, especially tied to your sense of self. So how can you further strengthen your own foundations to change that? Since Taurus is also about the body and Chiron brings in an element of healing, this is also about any health things that might be coming up. What do you need to do to really slow down, connect in with your body, and what do you need to heal within yourself? So if you've been feeling all of this energy, or if you have placements that are directly impacted by this new moon, let me know in the comments how you are feeling during this time and what you've been going through. Now let's move into the Chinese astrology analysis. So we are in the Bing Wu year, the year of the fire horse, and we have now shifted into the month of the snake. This is the water snake. Now the day pillar will depend on your time zone, but they are both going to be metal on top of wood. So the dynamic is going to be similar, but one is yin and one is yang, and that's what's going to change the flavor a little bit. And of course, we'll talk about that in just a second. When it comes to the energy of this year, we have such an excess of fire, and I have a whole other video that I will link up top so you can go and watch that to get more of a context for this year. Like I said, we have shifted into the month of the snake, and the snake is a fire element. So on top of the fire age, the double fire year, we are now in the season of fire in terms of the months of this year. I've also made another video on this because we're actually in the most chaotic months of this year. So I'll link that again and you can go and check that out too. Now the snake month is yin fire, and yin fire is actually a little more chaotic and unpredictable than yang fire. With very little grounding as well, this can feel confusing, chaotic, ungrounded, both externally out in the world through the events that are going on, as well as internally within each of us. We do have a little bit of water in the stem up top above the snake, but it is not bringing a lot of balance because there really is very little water right now. Now, if you have a snake or a pig in your 4 pillars, that will get activated this month. If it's in your year, then that's your social circle and friend groups. If it's in your month, that's to do with your career, your business, or your parents. In your day pillar, that is personal to you, your love life, your inner self. And if it's in your hour pillar, that represents your children, your investments, any secrets that you're keeping, as well as your psyche. So yin fire is a very clairvoyant energy, actually. It is about inner knowing. It's our connection to spirit, to source, to the universe, whatever you want to call it, to your higher self. But that does not come just like that. We are going to be handed the things that are not in alignment with that, or the things that are blocking our connection with that higher power or with our higher selves, because we need to be working through them to then gain that connection, to gain that alignment. And that's why we're about to step into a lot of chaos. The world is changing, and it's changing even faster now because the speed has really picked up. And so we need to be finding our own grounding, again, because we don't really have anything that's grounding us right now. So we need to find our own inner calm, our own inner Taurus energy amidst all of this chaos that's going on externally. How do you redirect your attention back into yourself and find that thread of peace and calm and grounding so that you do not get picked up by the whirlwind of chaos that's going on around us? Now, the time for this new moon, it is happening at 6 a.m. AEST, so this is Sydney time, on the 17th of May. If you are in British summertime, this will be happening for you on the 16th at 9 p.m. And if you are in Pacific time, this will be happening for you also on the 16th, but at 1 p.m. So if this new moon is happening for you on the 17th of May, you will be in a metal rabbit day. And if this new moon is happening for you on the 16th, you will be in a metal tiger day. Both of these are metal on wood. So we'll talk about that first, and then we'll get into the difference between yin and yang. So wood is about personal growth. It is, if you think about it like a forest, it's community because there's a lot of trees growing together. It's also the most creative element and the one that is always growing and seeking more knowledge and more understanding and more freedom and more expansion. Metal, however, chops wood because metal controls the wood. So metal tells us that we need to discern what is actually helpful for our growth. We cannot just be growing in any which direction that we like. We actually need to figure out, especially with the way that the world is now and how much chaos there is and how much change there is, what is the direction that we actually want to grow in? So in this snake month, where you can feel more impulsive, more overstimulated, the pull to expand, you have to make sure you are refining first, you are discerning first. See this almost as like, if we were to view it literally, it's like the metal shears that you need to prune your plant or prune your tree so that it can grow healthily. Now let's break down the two different days. If the new moon is happening for you on the 17th of May, then this is yin metal on yin wood. And if you have a rabbit or a rooster in your chart, then this new moon will activate those areas. So the rabbit and rooster, interestingly, is the worldly axis. So these are the animals that speak to your life in the world. What are you doing out in the world? And yin energy is more gentle. It's a lot more reflective and internal and denser, if you will. So this is a new moon where the energy might feel like you are needing to edit something, you're needing to reconsider or refine something. There's a kind of gentle, quiet clarity in the details. So it's less about forcing immediate change or immediate action, and it's more about carefully refining what really aligns with your long-term growth, especially when it comes to the little details in your life and also in your own internal belief system. Because remember, Taurus energy still is taking us into our foundations. So at our core, what are some of the details in the way that we think about ourselves or the way that we think about the world, or even the details in our day-to-day life, in our habits and our actions that are actually holding us back or that are keeping us stuck, Taurus energy, keeping us stuck in the same kinds of loops. Now, if this new moon is happening for you on the 16th of May, then you are in a yang metal and yang wood day because the tiger is yang energy. So yang energy is more forceful, more external, more intense. And if you have a tiger or a monkey in your 4 pillars, then this new moon will activate those areas for you. The tiger and monkey are the animals of new beginnings and fresh starts because the start of the year always is going to be in the season of tiger or the season of wood. So these animals are about starting something new, which is very aligned with new moon energy. However, like I said, yang energy is more forceful and it can feel like more urgent or more tense at the time. So this can feel like you are confronting reality in a way. There is a need for movement or a need for change right now. It's more of an external focus for you. So you want to think about what's actively standing in the way or what's actively keeping you stuck or distracted and needs to be cut away. This is energy that is a lot more decisive and action oriented. It's about cutting through the distraction, cutting through the misalignment, cutting through or cutting away the directions that are no longer sustainable for you. Now let's talk about how this energy relates to you based on your self element, also known as your day master. This is the top character of your day pillar. You want to look at what element that is. And this is going to be the same regardless of your time zone because again, we are in a metal wood day regardless of where you are. So if your self element is fire, then you might be feeling like you're re-emerging and stepping back into who you are, especially in this snake month. But it can also be really easy for you to feel ungrounded. So a big focus for you for this new moon is emotional nourishment, internal reflection, refining what supports you under the surface. Where is your energy actually going? What are you actually investing your energy into? And also, more importantly, how can you slow down enough to reconnect with your body, your sense of stability, these simple things in life, and really enjoying that instead of always seeking the external, always chasing things just to keep up with the intensity of it. If your self element is in earth, then internally you might feel like you want to just rest and reflect and process things, but there's an external pressure around work or responsibilities. I mean, the pressure can be internal too, but it's kind of like your obligations versus your need for rest. So you need to be discerning what obligations are actually aligned versus what's become your obligations or responsibilities purely out of habit or fear or guilt or external expectations, or it's because it's something that you've always done for so long and you don't really know what life's going to be like if you give it up. As an example, I'm an earth self element and I am going to be pausing or even stopping some of my side projects that I've been working on, even though I haven't completed them, because I just feel like I'm being pulled in too many directions. And as an earth self, and in my Western chart, I have a lot of signifiers of like perfectionism. This is like a hard decision for me to make, but I know it's a very necessary one. So you want to reflect on whether stability, or your definition of stability, is about maintaining everything at all costs. Okay, because that is definitely not healthy. So this new moon in particular can be a powerful reset for you, especially around your career direction or your boundaries, your work-life balance, and most importantly, your sense of self-trust, your knowledge and conviction that you can hold yourself through whatever decision you are going to make. If your self element is metal, then this new moon can be actually quite activating and intense and pressurizing for you. You can either feel really motivated or you can feel really drained, especially if you already tend to be a bit perfectionistic or you tend to stress out a bit more. If you're feeling anxious, if you're hypervigilant, overthinking things, comparing yourself to others, all of that is normal around an energy like this. And all of that can feed into more of that stuckness that Taurus can find themselves into. So this new moon is an invitation for you to reconnect with your values, with your body, with your nervous system, so that as the speed picks up again, you don't have to keep attaching your worth to your productivity or to how much money you make. Because again, remember, Taurus has to do with our finances too. And a lot of the times we can lose sight of our values as we are just chasing after more financial gain. So you want to make note of where you are overextending yourself or where you are trying to force things to happen the way that you want. This really is about the balance between chasing after your ambition and also making sure that you yourself are stable, especially on the inside. If your self element is water, then you want to be reflecting on what you communicate or create or share or invest in, because these things have the potential to open up new pathways and opportunities for you. However, are they actually aligned with your values? And are they actually opening up the pathways that you truly want? This brings a big reset around your creative direction, as well as your abundance mindset and your sense of self-worth. Where do you need to slow down and refine your vision to move forward with more clarity? Because if you are undervaluing yourself, then the pathways and opportunities that are opening up are going to be mirroring that same belief, because that is what has been ingrained in your foundations. And finally, if your self-element is wood, then this new moon is about bringing what is inside of you outwards. Creativity, emotions, ideas, your inner truth, but in a more intentional or refined way. So right now you could feel either more excited and creative, or you could feel pretty overstimulated and emotionally just a bit all over the place. Whatever the case is, there can be a tendency to overextend or overcommit. So this new moon is less about explosive action and following every single thread out of anxiety or desperation, but more about sustainable expression. How and where can you slow down to intentionally direct your energy into creating something or expressing something or sharing something instead of scattering it everywhere? So those are the two different day pillars we've got around this full moon. We've got yin or yang, metal on top of wood. Let me know which one you will be under and how you are feeling this energy so far. If you're under the yin pillar, is this more of an internal, detailed process for you? If you're under the yang pillar, are you feeling that more explosive external energy? And if you want to explore how the current energies are affecting your chart directly, not just this new moon, which is going to pass very quickly, but the bigger transits from our outer planets, I've linked my birth chart readings below. At the moment, I'm just doing Western astrology readings, but I'm hoping that I will be adding Bazi very, very soon. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of my Western and Chinese astrology analyses.